Hey guys, it's me, welcome back. And today we're gonna do something a little different when it comes to doing a running review or a race recap. So let's get into it. So December 1st, I participated in the 5K for the Savannah Bridge Run. It consists of a 5K or a 10K, or if you combine the two into a 15K, the double pump. Now, they had an expo the day before, so November 30th. We were able to make it down there, and I was fortunate that somebody from Team Red, White, and Blue from the local chapter at Fort Stewart/Savannah was down there to pick up our stuff for us. And what they had available for us was our shirt. As you can see, it's long sleeve, from a nice thin running shirt made by Delta Tri. They're a company out of Georgia. We also got our bib number, and the expo had several vendors and future races being advertised down there. We didn't stay too long because we were on the road for about 3 hours and we just wanted to get to the hotel. Now, we've kept our eye on the weather all week, and they were talking about it raining the day of the race, but it was supposed to be 90% chance of rain at 10 p.m. However, when we actually got down to Savannah, we checked the weather again. It said it was 70% chance of rain at 7 a.m. and it would just increase from there. So I wasn't thrilled about that. If you're doing the 5K for the Savannah Bridge Run, you are highly encouraged to park at the start line. And that is where the vast majority of people go, is for the 5K. We actually parked near the convention center because I think the convention center was supposed to be reserved for the 10K and the double pump people. If you're seeing the screen down below, what I plan on doing is actually going over some of the highlights of the race, in addition to what the race felt like and what I liked about it and what could be improved. Now, before we get further into the race itself, because it's going to take several minutes before we actually get up to the start line from here, is the finisher's medal. Now, as you can see, this is what the 5K looks like. In fact, the 5K, the 10K, and the double pump all look very similar. The biggest difference is the color. So as you can see, 5K is green ribbon, green background. The 10K was red with a red sparkly background, and the double pump was orange. Now, if you look close, you'll see that it's a cargo ship down here, and then this bridge is the Talmadge Bridge down in Savannah, and that is what we ran over. Over 2,700 people participated in the 5K, but that includes at least 100 or maybe 200 participants who were also in the double pump. So if you didn't know, for the Savannah Bridge Run, what happens is the 5K takes place first. It takes place an hour before the 10K, and over 2,500 people took part in the 5K. And we'll say that it started at 8 a.m. I cannot remember the exact time, but if it started at 8, that means that the 10K and the rest of the double pump participants would take off at 9 o'clock. Now, what you're seeing right here is the walk. I started in the very back of the race, of the crowd, and I think like maybe 3 or 4 people were behind me. Now, this walk takes, I'm not kidding, 3 minutes to get up to the start line. Now, like I said, the weather was supposed to be rainy, so I had my rain jacket with me. It's a pretty light Jack Wolfskin jacket. I love that thing. I've ran in it before in rainy weather. But when we got there, or I should say before we got there, it was raining at the hotel. It was raining all the way to the convention center. But when we boarded the bus to get out to the start point, it pretty much stopped raining. And then when we got to the start point, we're walking, it's drizzling a little bit, but you could see that it's letting off. And I just kept thinking, I don't have the right equipment with me and I'm carrying excess gear. So you will see throughout the video, once when I cross the start line, that I'm carrying my Jack Wolfskin jacket the entire 5K in one hand. And because it was scheduled to rain throughout the race, I forewent my normal GoPro setup of having the GoPro Hero 6 on a Karma grip for a very steady, stable run, because that Karma grip is a gimbal and keeps the camera still no matter how much I turn. And what I ended up using for this run was a selfie stick. I've run with a selfie stick before, but with the crowd being as big as it was, I held it at a higher angle so I wouldn't hit the person in front of me, and that will create a little bit of instability when you're looking behind me. All right, here we come up to the start line. There's a dude fist bumping. Okay. And here's where I take off. I will say a lot of people were pretty happy to see a GoPro out there. I was actually amazed. One of the tidbits I learned out there was that a radio show host was out and she asked if she could take our pictures, and me and a couple other people were like, yeah, sure. Has anybody ever said no? She's like, amazingly, yes. Earlier today, somebody said they didn't want their picture published because they're wanted for a felony. Okay, so as you can see, we have people already stopping, and we're probably about 300 yards into the race. And I think quite a few people, this was like their one run a year, or probably their first run ever, because I think quite a few of them were overdressed for this. If you are a beginning runner, I do suggest looking to see what other people are running in previous years for events like this, or knowing where you stand when it comes to like physical fitness level. On more than one occasion, I've had people sprint out in front of me and then stop to walk right in the middle of the lane at, I'll say, even at the 100-meter mark, and that's just too early to do that. You gotta learn to pace yourself. Oh, here's where we're coming up on a bottleneck. You can see all the people behind me, my right shoulder. We're all coming into one little area to get onto the on-ramp for the bridge. So this is one thing that we had to worry about while we're there. I'm trying to run, I'm trying to get ready to go around people, but the lane just got smaller, and that's just something you have to plan for if you do this race. I just passed a person who was walking with a flag. There were quite a few ruckers out there. If you don't know what rucking is, it's basically, for lack of a better phrase, you're hiking with a heavy backpack on your back, and a lot of people from Team Red, White, and Blue were doing that out there, and you'll see them throughout the race in this video or in my my highlights video that I made last week. I can link to it here or here. I don't know where I'll link it, but check it out. Okay, so that bridge behind me, that is the start of the Talmadge Bridge, but we're going around in a loop to get onto it from this on-ramp. And I think we passed the water station already. So there was a water station available for the race at the 0.4 mile mark. I think that is too early for the race, but they might have done that because you don't have enough room for all the runners and traffic on that bridge. Oh yeah, you did see people out there in costume, just like the Tooth Fairy is there. Then there'll be more Tooth Fairies along the bridge too. Okay, so at this point I am running up a slight hill on the on-ramp, and you can see that people are slowing down as they're going up the thing. Now we're on the bridge, and you can see an orange cone behind me that we just ran by. That is for vehicle traffic to be to the left of us. So we're all crammed into the right lane and the shoulder of the bridge. And I thought that was a little weird at first, because I thought all the traffic would be on the left side of the bridge. I thought it'd be two-way traffic over there, and we would have full reign of the right side of the bridge. It's not like the Cooper River Bridge Run where the entire one side of the bridge is shut down for everybody to run. Of course, that race has up to 30,000 people participating in it, whereas this accommodated up to 3,000. So I'm doing a foot view here, which I thought was pretty interesting. But anyways, you can see behind me that people will bunch up. And I think that is one of the limiting factors for why there's no water station on the bridge. I think the person I just ran by is a rucker, because she had a one of those backpacks. All right, there's the person with the 1 mile marker, and you see how much or how little space he's taking up. Here's one of my favorite parts of the bridge, or of the bridge run, was running by a small army detachment, just seeing them run in formation, and I'm interacting with them. You notice that the army formation is not behind me. That's because I got caught behind a slower group. Again, this is one of the bad things about about this bridge run, and it's a more of a minor inconvenience than anything else. But if you get stuck behind a slower area, you're going to suffer on that. Whereas that army formation was able to stay as far left as possible, and they just kept moving forward. I do eventually catch up to them again, but it would be nice to have a little bit more of a spread out area for us to run in, because you can see walkers and runners going in there. So if you're trying to run this for time, the big thing is to try and get either in the middle of the pack or towards the front of the pack. I'm actually amazed at how many cars are driving by us, but you don't see many cars going the opposite direction. So if you can't tell from this angle, this is a steeper incline than the Cooper River Bridge in Charleston. It's actually a steeper incline than a lot of other bridges I've been on. So I guess that is where it gets its nickname about being the South's toughest bridge run. All right, so I think we're coming up on a news crew, and you can see that their car takes up part of the shoulder there. Now we had one person over there taking selfies behind me. Yeah, I'm surprised that more people didn't do that. Maybe it was the weather out there, but as you can see right here, I do a quick 360 of the area, and we're going over the Savannah River. It's a nice area to look at, and you can see shipping, or you can see shipyards as well as the cargo ships out there. And here I go with another action shot from the ground. All I do is I just turn the selfie stick down and put it behind me. But one of the issues is I have a tendency to kick water up onto the screen, as you can see right here. And that water drop is probably going to stay there for a good 5 minutes. This was a good shot that I got here. And I'm actually surprised more people don't try to like get a group picture or a picture of them running right in that area. Here's the one semi truck that we had drive by us. And that exhaust was so strong out there. Several of us were commenting on that. See, here's more of the Tooth Fairy people. So as I'm running, you can see people with the orange bibs and people with the green bibs. Again, green bib means 5K. The orange bib was for the double pump people. Now, one of the things with the double pump is, if I didn't say before, they start with all the 5K people, get to the finish line, and then they start again at the top of the hour with the 10K people. So if they do their 5K in 25 minutes or so, that means they have 35 minutes of rest before they do the 10K and get the double pump reward. You can see that decline behind me and the second mile marker that we just ran by. Here's somebody who really loved the GoPro. All right, so we're taking the exit off the bridge. So we're finally coming to the point where we don't hang out on the bridge anymore. And we're gonna make a big circle and start running to downtown Savannah to the finish line, which is by the convention center. Somebody noticing the GoPro and wanted to wave. You can see that one of the costume runners here got a little overheated out there. Even though the temperature was about 50 degrees Fahrenheit, you could definitely work up a sweat out there. Now, I'm running up the second hill of the course, if you count the bridge as the first hill. I was not expecting that. You could see it coming as you're going around the off ramp. It's very minor, but the hill's pretty small. It just threw me off that I saw something like that. All right, so we're coming up on the second water station, and this is at 2.7 miles out of 3.1 or 5K. This was probably could have been set up further back, like even underneath the bridge, where the volunteers could have had shelter from the rain. It's just a little perplexing that the water stations are set up so close to the start and finish points of the race. Now you can see that the road is pretty slick from the rains from earlier that morning. In fact, those white spots on the road, I slipped on them a couple of times down right in this area. So that's one of the last costume people I saw running. This guy was dressed up as the Nature Boy Ric Flair, a pretty big wrestler from the 70s to the 90s. But that was definitely a welcome sign to see, because it was a little motivating out there and got me a little bit more energy to go and finish up the race. Now I'm getting really close to the finish line here. And if anybody's doing a timestamp, that is $2.39 for a gallon of gas in Savannah, Georgia on December 1st, 2018. And if anybody's wondering, a gallon is 3.8 liters. We're coming up towards the finish line, and the crowd is like just cheering everybody on. You can hear them, and you can see them behind the gates back there. And some of them were holding up signs for their family members and their friends. I'm coming across, look at how slick that road is out there from the rain from earlier. They had the finish line divided in two. I'm not sure why, because everybody had to cross at the same spot, and you weren't continuing the race. Once when you got across the finish line, you were done for that time. Even the double pump people were pretty much done. They would just go to the 10K line later. So here I am coming through the finish line and getting my medal. You can see that they had several volunteers out there to give it to us. You can see the 10K medal down at the bottom. And maybe that's why they have it split. The split is probably for later. So you'll have the double pump people off to the right side of the finish line, and the 10K and the 5K, or the 10K people anyways, will be on the left side of the race. So that is what the race looked like. It's not a bad race. I was just a little perplexed by the placement of the water stations, by running, or only being allowed to run in one lane on a 4-lane bridge. I thought we would have the whole right side, but if you know those going in, it's not a bad race at all. And make sure you know your ability and put yourself in the proper spot at the starting line, because as you saw, it took me 3 minutes from the start of the race until I got to the starting line. And that is all I got for this. So I don't know if I'll do it next year. If I do, if I go down to Savannah, it's gonna definitely be for the double pump, because the distance is too far to drive for just a 5K. So if you ran this race, go ahead, let me know down below what you guys thought of it. And if you like what you see, go ahead, comment, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. So until next time, bye guys.